Eskom is briefing Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprise on the annual report and financial statements for 2022-2023 financial year. Let's now take you live to that session.
The duration of dealing with interruptions of supply. So distribution has performed well in FY 2023. Over and above what the chairperson has mentioned around the EAF and the load shedding. Obviously, yes, Chair, as you indicated, it wasn't nice this morning to get a call at 2:30 to say we're going to go to stage 4. Especially in light of us coming here to Parliament. But I think most importantly, we've always said that priority number one for Eskom is to protect the grid. We don't compromise on that, and one of the levers is the levels of load shedding. Chair, I'm still confident in the leadership we have under Becky, but more importantly, what we've tried to do is not just make it a generation issue, but make it an Eskom issue, and us as the executive work hand in hand to support Becky and his team in whatever they require. And we're confident that this is a blip. In terms of our recovery, we don't want to go any higher than stage 4. We need to get to the lower stages, Chair, as we've performed in October and November, and we're confident we can do that through the generation team. And as part of the recovery, the focus around the key stations in terms of the priority stations of Kendal, Kusile, Duva, Tutuka, Matla, and Majuba. We do have stations that are performing very well, like Medupi, Letabo, Camden, Matimba, and the peaking stations. But other than the impact that it has in terms of the financials, as the chairman has indicated, the pressure it puts on your primary energy costs for the higher OCGTs, but we also end up using the more expensive coal stations, and that is why recovering the performance of this coal fleet is critical. But the other element that load shedding does impact on the financials is the lower sales that we are generating. So there is a contribution loss that comes through in terms of the numbers. The chairman has indicated the municipal debt that has grown year on year by about 14 billion, from just under 45 billion rand to 58 billion. I mean, that's over R1 billion a month. As we sit here today, since the March year in, the number is sitting at 63 billion rand. But I'm sure through the questions, Mr. Bala will indicate the positive signals we are seeing through the initiative of National Treasury and the municipalities that have signed up to that. I think from a people perspective, unfortunately, we were saddened with the loss of 4 employees and contractors in total year on year, slightly down from the previous year of 6. But yeah, every life loss is one too many, and we need to keep and remain focused on that. Through natural attrition, our staff complement reduced by 820 during the year. Positively, we did employ, in terms of the Youth Employment Services Program, 523 youth across our business. And during this difficult year, we were able to raise just under 60 billion rand in the financial year. And Martin Brace will explain that in the cash flows. And I think what the big positive for us was the support, and we're grateful for that approval by government of the 254 billion rand relief. What that has done is, for the first time in 6 years, that we were able now, with that support and knowing that the maturities of our current debt book is secured over the next 3 years, we are able to release capital expenditure for the next 3 years for all the businesses going forward, and that has helped them then to start procuring well in advance to do the necessary maintenance and strengthening in their particular areas. And the board with the skills they bring just over a year. I think having a fully capacitated board has also helped to keep management responsible and accountable, and we definitely welcome that from a management perspective. If we move on to the next slide, Chair, in terms of the generation performance, over and above the EAF, during the year and the load shedding, there was also curtailment that occurred. And as mentioned, that the high expenditure and reliance on open cycle gas turbines came at a cost, combined cost for Eskom's OCGTs and the IPPs of just under 30 billion rand. And you will see when I speak about the outlook, we're expecting a similar amount for FY24 and then thereafter improve. I've spoken about the focus. I think we must not underestimate the benefit of bringing back the 2 Kusile units from the temporary stacks recovery so far, and we're looking forward to the 3rd unit coming back by the end of November. That would then add more baseload capacity to the system. And last but not least, we also look as part of the recovery to then synchronize Unit 5 in December, which then, Chair, to your earlier point, we're confident, and that puts us on a positive state as we go into the new year of 2024. I've spoken about transmission and distribution. I think it's also important to understand that we need to ensure, over and above Eskom as dealing with their capacity and their performance on the fleet, we need to make sure that from the independent power producers that capacity is connected to the grid. There have been delays. Yes, Eskom has been a factor in that in terms of some of the constraints around transmission grid, but we are working to arrest that and to ensure that the combination of Eskom and IPPs can deal with the capacity shortfall for the country. Chair, just from installation, 326 kilometers of transmission lines were connected during the past year, exceeding the target. And then if we move to the next slide there, the load shedding, if we just unpacked it, as the Chair has indicated, the increase year on year from 65 days to 280 days has had a devastating impact on the economy, and more importantly, the intensity. We can see there 34 occasions of stage 6, 30 occasions of stage 5, and 95 of stage 4. So we need to reduce that intensity going forward to deal with this gap between 4,000 and 6,000 megawatts in terms of capacity from a system perspective. If we then go to the next slide, I think from an environmental perspective, the trends are concerning. We need to arrest that, particularly around the particulate emissions. Especially, we've seen that Kendall's poor performance has contributed to that deterioration year on year. Although we see that the CO2 emissions has reduced year on year, but that's also linked to the lower production from our coal-fired stations. We know that in terms of the emissions, we await the decision from the DFFE minister in about August 2024 to give us clarity on emissions around our stations and in terms of the levels at which we can operate them. Water consumption has improved year on year, and we've had of concern, and we are focusing on it, is that we need to reduce the amount of environmental legal contraventions. We had 105 incidences in the last year, up from the 65 previously, 58 related to water and 44 to air quality regulations. In terms of our people and society, our lost time injury rate did deteriorate year on year from 0.24 to 0.26. And from a racial and gender equity, there's been an improvement year on year from just under 82% to 83.6%. And then during the course of FY23, we electrified 102,590 connections year on year, and our corporate social investment spend was 63 million. Chair, I'm going to hand over to Martin Bays, through you, Chair, to deal with the details of the financials and the audit opinion, and I'll come back and close on the outlook going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Honourable Chairman. Good morning, Honourable Deputy Minister, and members of this Portfolio Committee.
Well, an update there from Eskom, who are appearing before the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises, and this is on the financials of the entity. And as you heard there also, they have welcomed that decision that was taken by government last year and early this year as well, to give Eskom the 240 billion rand relief that has allowed them some breathing space.